So this topic is on sales. What would the current me tell the younger me if I was going to talk to them about sales? So this is going to go a little wide, and I'll try to bring it back. My upbringing when I was very young, well, I consider it young, about 6 years old, I remember my dad trying to teach me how to play chess. And the reason why I say that is I learned to do moves ahead, to see moves ahead. So that was extremely helpful. And at 17, I started doing martial arts, and that made me also see moves ahead and made me think quickly on my feet. Chess, you can kind of take your time. Martial arts, you don't have any time. You've got to react instantly to the situation. The other thing that I think that's really helpful that the current me would tell the other young me is I'll give you a little bit of my progression so you can see where I'm at now regarding sales. So the biggest word I can give you that would make you helpful today now is awareness. If you're aware, you're going to be a lot more in charge. And I'm going to go show you some books that I've used and in the past and how I've gotten to kind of the point that I'm at now where I can actually do communication coaching for companies and help them improve their communication. So because although I have a YouTube channel, one that you see now, and of course many people know me from My Car Story with Lou, it's still about you, not about me. They're still calling it YouTube, not LouTube. So it's always about the person you're selling to. So the first thing I'd start out with was I was at a business and I was a recruiter. So my first real sales job where I was specifically a salesperson was after 3 years of recruiting where I really knew my product. So the biggest thing I can tell you in sales is know your product. And then the other goal as of right now is you want to know your customer. So it's important to know your customer and just see if it's a good blend. So the martial arts, I had taken different martial arts, and this is kind of going back to sales. I realized that, for example, if you just do boxing versus something like Taekwondo, there were a lot of kicks. So I found that I enjoyed the kicks as well as the boxing. Well, then if you do wrestling, now you're beating people on the ground. So now they call it mixed martial arts. Well, I had been doing mixed martial arts for well before they called it mixed martial arts because I had, with chess, seeing the moves ahead, with the martial arts, seeing that this skill set has something this skill set doesn't, and blending them together, which is what we have today. So mixed martial arts, and there's a lot of mixed martial arts studios that are very good that are out there right now. But staying on the topic of sales, so the young Lou, my boss had told me, he said, I want you to be the sales guy. And I was really resistant to that. I said, I don't want to be the sales guy. They have a bad reputation. And he said, well, change the reputation. And I said, I can't change people's reputation as a salesperson. He goes, no, you can do it. Figure it out. So ultimately, he was going to give me training to figure it out. So when I started out in sales, I didn't really have much of a spiritual side. Matter of fact, you'll find out about the spiritual side in the next episode. That's going to be called the God Sale. What's that? And you'll find out about that there. So I'm going to save that for the next episode. But I will say that right around 31, in the martial arts, every martial arts system usually came from the Eastern cultures, and they had a spiritual belief behind it. It was either Buddhist monks or other people who were Shaolin priests. So there was a spiritual component to the martial arts. So I had known that, but I didn't know it deeply. And my class that I was running had a lot of black belts in it, and it was at Motorola. So it was a melting pot of different ethnicities. They were coming to my class, and although I was teaching them moves, and they loved the moves, they were literally teaching me differences about their religious beliefs, so I had to find out mine. So the first thing I did, and I had help from this back in the 80s, was when I first found out, and somebody convinced me to read the Bible. So I read the Bible cover to cover, and I realized you don't have to read the Bible cover to cover after I read it cover to cover, but I did, and I took a highlighter and I highlighted the points that were important to me. But the reason why I'm sharing that book first, it's not only the most important book, but from a biblical perspective, there's very many business principles in there. You know, treating your people the right way. Matthew talks about that, where he says, you know, the golden rule. You want to treat people the way you want to be treated. Second book I would recommend, which by the way, I took a course, I was an award winner in this, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, I completely opposed when I first saw this title, I'm like, I have friends, I don't need to win friends, I don't win people over, and boy was I wrong. It was a great book. A lot of it clearly Dale Carnegie was influenced by principles in the Bible, and I consider it maybe the second best sales book. And again, the real key is awareness. All the training is helpful, just like all the different martial art training is helpful, to blend, to take care of the situation that that person presents to you. So if a bad guy presents to me different ways, or a weapon or things like that, I have the skill sets to adjust. Well, these are books to get you skill sets. And remember, you've got to sell something that you know you can sell, that you enjoy selling, okay, or you'd like to sell, or might be, high probability selling was good. This is a good book that it says reinvents the sales process. I had taken something called the Sandler Sales System. It was a 1.5 year long course, and it was very strategic. They called it the submarine, and it's in the water, and what's the person's problem in dissecting it, and how long have they had that problem. And it's good. It's good to know that, just like it's good to know different martial arts systems. It's good to know that. But what they were lacking was they were telling you what the problem was, in my opinion, and you really want to have the current mature Lou would say, you want to just listen. I used to do a lot of studying on that company and then come up with a plan. I would work for hours coming up with a plan of what I was going to say when I went into that meeting. The current Lou just goes into the meeting and says, how can I help you? Why am I here? What do you see as the value? Tell me what your situation says. So the difference between awareness and coming in with a strategy. Another book that I read that was just interesting. This one's not as important, but still very good. The 16 Laws to Success by Napoleon Hill. I've done some speaking on that. And then this is one that I'm going to summarize this book. These are kind of tools in your belt buckle. And again, you blend them when I do some of my communication coaching. But this one's called Listening, the Forgotten Skill Set. And if I can summarize that in one graph, if you will, is there are 4 quadrants. Okay, okay, not okay, not okay. Okay, okay, not okay. You're okay, I'm okay. That's why we have perfect listening right now. If one of the two of us goes not okay, let's say I say something you don't like and you just shut off this YouTube video. You go, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Click, right? So you're not okay. All of a sudden we have no communication. You clicked off the video. If I have the ability to click off the video too, that's a divorce. That's where there's no communication whatsoever. So I open up and I coach people to open up with, is it a good time? And the reason why you do that is, first of all, if you ever get a call from some sales company that calls you, hey, we want to tell you about our product, they're not asking. They think you're twiddling your thumbs waiting for them to call. I learned this hard lesson way back, probably in the 90s, where I called somebody with the perfect candidate that they'd been waiting for. And I said, hey, Bob, I've got this great candidate for you. And there was this, and I kept talking about it for probably 2 minutes. I was so excited. And there was this dead silence. And he goes, Lou, do you think I'm twiddling my thumbs waiting for you to call? You ask me next time if it's a good time. Click. Man, did my face turn red. But was that a great lesson? I thank him for that today, because now even the people I talk to start conversations with me and say, Lou, is it a good time? And the reason why you want to check that is, even if you schedule a meeting a week in advance and you get that person on the phone or on Zoom or in person, hey, is it still a good time to talk, or did something change? No, it's a good time. Once they do that, they're inviting you in to listen. And that's where the listening, then they're okay and you're okay. And you can be aware. You can say, hey, how much time do you have? So is it a good time? How much time do you have? Those are the steps in good sales that I would tell myself now. Once you establish that, then you've established where there's going to be mutual conversation going back and forth. Okay, okay. And you've eliminated the not okay. And I'll give you an example. On Friday, I talked to a person who was on a Zoom call, and we scheduled a time for 3 o'clock. I said, is it a good time? And because I'm aware, she gave me a clue. She says, well, I'm trying to get end of day work done. I said, well, we have a half hour. Will you allow me 15 minutes, and I'll give you some time back if you'll let me to go faster? She says, sure, go. So not only did in 15 minutes, I said, what is it that you're looking for as a financial executive in a group? And she mentioned exactly all the things our group had. I said, let me show you on my computer. It was a Zoom call, all the things you just mentioned. I said, can you come next Wednesday? I understand your schedule is open because your boss, who introduced me to you, said that you'd be open next Wednesday. She looked at her schedule. She goes, yeah, I am open next Wednesday. I'll come to your group as your guest. See, so I was aware that her schedule was open. I was aware of what her boss wanted. I was aware then of what she wanted. And I was aware that she had a little time. So we had a half hour. She wanted me to cut it short. Bottom line, I'm going to build their trust, probably get the sale, and that's ultimately what this message is about, is being aware, adapting, using your skill sets, using all the things, listening to what they wanted to do. Sometimes as salespeople, we think we have to talk. This is where this book comes in handy. The last one I'm showing you is called The Universal Language of the Disc, and that's one of the things that I teach and coach companies. I usually do 10 executives, and I teach them 2 hours on the DISC training, the DISC. I may go into that in another video, but it's dominant, influence, steady, and cognitive. And when I know that the other person on the other line is one of those 4, I can speak to them in their language. And if you use this DISC as Spanish, Russian, Ukrainian, and Mandarin, the more I know those languages, the better I'm going to get along with those people. So, because I'll just have more of an advantage, and they will feel that they know me, like me, and trust me more. So I do like 2 hours of DISC session. I then let people know that it's not about them, it's about what's the other person speak like in those languages. And then if you can speak in their language, like for example, when that woman said to me, she says, I've got this bank reconciliation and I'm trying to get end of month out. Then I said, let me make this faster for you. She started to smile. She smiled because, well, I was speaking her language. She was like, let's go. She needed to be a driver that day. She needed to be decisive. So I said, I'll be decisive with you. Ultimately, I'm going to see her next week. She'll be in a much better position. We're going to have lunch together. There's going to be a great speaker at our CFO meeting. And at the end of that meeting, we have problem solving, so she'll really get to know the other members in the group. What's the bottom line with sales? The more people know you, like you, and trust you, the more they're going to do business with you. Automatically, they're going to want to do business with you. So I hope in today's, what would the current Lou tell the young Lou? First of all, I would say, are all of those learning skill sets important? Yes, and then blend them together. But today, I would say be aware, be open to listening, make sure they talk first so you have an idea of where they want to go with the conversation. Take away your agenda and listen to their agenda. And if your agenda blends with their agenda, then you have a beautiful situation, and then you're going to have a great sale, and you're going to have a happy customer. So I hope all those things helped you. Stay tuned for the next business tip. If you want to do some communication consulting, you can see in the description of this video how to get a hold of me, and I'd be happy to talk about if your company's having communication challenges where either their sales are stagnant, or they're stuck, or they need to improve, or you just like some tips, or if you have disconnect in the office. Those are the kind of things that I can help you with. And you can talk to your boss, or they can talk to me, or maybe you are the boss and you can talk to me direct. Hope all those things help you. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks.